All right, what's going on, Facebook? Today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite lower body mobility drills. Now, these are actual progressions. They're not just like 3 separate drills and boom, you're done. I'm going to give you some progressions to work on, but what I found is that these 3 drills have really made the biggest change in movement for my clientele. I use this a lot with my MMA and my jiu-jitsu guys, but these are fantastic for just athletes trying to develop overall mobility, flexibility, whatever. So you can obviously follow along and take notes. One thing I will say when it comes to addressing mobility and flexibility, specific work is always better than general work. If you do have an area that you feel like needs attention, get assessed by a good fitness professional, PT, whatever. Find someone that actually knows what they're doing, and they can help you pinpoint and target your problem areas, and then go from there. And obviously, yeah, joint mobility in general, awesome. But anytime you can do a little bit more targeted work, it's a really good thing. Couple things as we get into this. Never move into pain. Sure, there's going to be some discomfort, but never move into pain. Secondly, let's just try to maintain a normal breathing pattern. If you find yourself holding your breath and using a lot of excess of tension, you're probably moving into a range of motion that your body is not prepared for yet, and forcing it's not going to work so well. So we're going to dive right in. So this first progression is actually going to be used to sort of open up the adductors. So we're going to start in the all 4 position, and we're going to be pointing out to the side. I'm actually going to move back a smidge so you can see it. Now, my foot is straight. Okay, if my foot is straight, that actually allows me to just open up the adductors a little bit. Okay, so to start off, we're gonna actually keep it straight, and we're gonna think about pushing the hip out of the socket. And we're just gonna be on all 4s. Now, as we do this, we're gonna rock back and forth. So as we rock, you're gonna obviously increase the stretch here in the adductor. So we're just gonna rock back and forth and maintain a good little stretch. Now, as far as the back foot, you've got 2 different options here. You can go up, and you can have, a plantar flex position, or you can come here. The difference is if you've got some restrictions on the quad, keeping the toe up, you're not gonna hit those as quickly. If you point the toe down and you feel like you're trying to rock back, you will not be able to rock back as far if you've got some restrictions on the quad here. So we're gonna start just by doing some basic rocks. And I like to do, I do about 30-40 seconds. From there, we're gonna move into some external hip rotations. So I'll actually prop myself back a little bit. And what I'm trying to do with these rotations is I'm actually trying to get the femoral head to just open up and move down, open up and move down. Now, at first, it's gonna be tough to do for some people, okay? Their whole body is gonna wanna shift. The goal is to try to get some nice, gentle movement, and we're supposed to go up and down and rotate within the socket. If you find that this is uncomfortable and something's pinching, you may have to shorten up the range of motion. You may have to get a little bit closer. You may have to change the position forward or backwards, okay? So we're just gonna externally rotate. And again, you're just gonna do that 30-40 seconds, okay? And you can start to work it a little bit. You can sit into it. As you toe up, you can kind of sit into it and get a little bit more of a stretch. You're gonna feel a little bit more of a hamstring stretch. Again, 30-45 seconds. Now the last one is a biggie. You're gonna feel a huge stretch kind of behind the knee, into the groin, into the hamstring. We're going toe up now. As we go toe up, we try to get a little bit taller posture. We press away. As you press away, you're gonna get a big stretch, so don't overdo it. Press away and pull in. Press away and then pull in, okay? And again, 30-45 seconds per side. Now, you're gonna hit both sides, obviously. For the sake of today, I'm not gonna hit both sides, but really simple. You do the adductor rocks back and forth, add in some external rotations, and then add in those toe pumps back and forth, and then go from there. Now, once you open up both sides, a great way to cement that newfound mobility is with a loaded lateral lunge. We're gonna demo that quickly. Grab a light kettlebell. It doesn't need to be crazy heavy, okay? This kettlebell you're going to push away from you, it's going to act as a counterbalance. When we're getting into this lateral lunge, it's a hinging movement, but it's actually almost like a single leg hinge, okay? So this is what it's going to look like. We're going to take a nice wide stance. I'm going to be moving to my left, the same side that I just moved, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my trail leg locked. I'm going to shoot my hips back, keep my knee over my 4th and 5th toe. I'm going to press out, and then I'm going to drag the foot in, okay? So again, it's almost like a single leg deadlift or single leg squat. Keep everything aligned, press the kettlebell outwards, keep the knee out over the toe, and pull up. Now, if you don't have the strength for that, you can always sit into the position and then come back up. 5 to 8 reps of that is going to be fantastic. As you get more mobile, you can add a little bit more depth in, and you can also add in some mobility. This is also one of those drills, a loaded kettlebell lateral lunge. It's one of those drills where you can actually use it as a strength tool down the road. There's some really strong guys out there that I've seen do this. Some people will call it like a Cossack stretch with like 100-pound kettlebells. Pretty crazy. But for now, give it a try and let me know how it goes. The next thing we're going to talk about is a prying goblet squat, and it's a really simple way to just open up the hips in general. And again, we're going to use a light kettlebell to aid us in that range of motion. Now, when we do this, again, never move into pain. There will be a little bit of spinal lumbar flexion here. Now, if you do not tolerate lumbar flexion well, obviously don't go to that point where you're getting into that position. So we're going to take the kettlebell, okay? I'm going to give you kind of a 45-degree angle view. Feet are hip width, point the toes out as needed. We're going to drop down, drive the knees outward, and what we're trying to do here is we're going to keep the elbows to the inside of the knees, okay? So elbow is going to be right against the VMO. Okay, from here, we're going to wiggle side to side. As I wiggle side to side, I'm actually using my elbows to push outward at the same time to create some space in my hips. So we're going to wiggle side to side. As we do that, we're going to try to get taller. We're going to wiggle side to side and try to get taller. Now, we can actually start to bring the knees forward to utilize a little bit more ankle mobility, and we can shift the hips back. It doesn't really make much of a difference, but we're just going to work on getting those hips nice and mobile. Okay? This is fantastic before squatting, whether it's kettlebell, barbell, you name it. So you're just going to wiggle side to side. What I want you to think about is pushing the knees outward and getting taller when you do this. Obviously, you want to try to get some nice depth, but not move into a painful position. So, again, from the side, on this side, we'll give you a complete side view. Boom. Now, as you press the kettlebell away, it's going to allow you to get more vertical. That's perfectly fine. It's a counterbalance. Right here, it's not a counterbalance, so just remember that. This is great for mobility, accessing the squat pattern, and then you can come on up. So, there's really no right or wrong way that you can pry. Just have some fun at the bottom position, make sure that you're staying out of pain, and just explore the range of motion. I think one of the things people often miss about developing flexibility and mobility is getting into a position and just playing around in that position and trying to gain some range of motion. Explore what your body's capable of, and again, never move into pain. So that prying goblet squat you can do, again, I like to spend 20-30 seconds at the bottom position and then come back up. I'll give you one more view of it kind of from the front. So we drop into it, boom. Deep squat position, we just wiggle side to side. You'll notice my knee is actually going to a valgus position. I'm not letting this happen, okay? So we're just gonna pry, we're gonna get tall. We're gonna pry and we're gonna get tall. You can go a little bit wider, you can go to a little bit narrower. It really doesn't make a difference, but just have a little bit of fun with it. As far as kettlebell size, this is an 18-pounder, okay? This is not a contest to see who can go as heavy as possible. Last one I'm going to show you is you need a dowel, and you need some way to elevate your foot. Make sure that I can see it here. So this next drill is really fantastic for opening up hip flexors, quads, and thoracic spine, and actually your shoulder mobility, glenohumeral joint. So, setup's key here. Most important thing here is that we don't go into lumbar hyperextension. So we're going to take a knee. For a lot of people on a really hard ground, it's not comfy. They get a little compression in the kneecap. So you can put a knee down. We're going to take the opposite foot, bring it up. You'll notice this is going to get my knee above 90 degrees. The most important thing that we do here is that we maintain the spine position. I see people doing hip flexor stretch all the time, and they're just hanging on their lumbar spine. So what we're going to do here is we're going to stay stacked. We're going to level our pelvis off, do a slight posterior pelvic tilt. Okay? Tilt it forward, keep some tension in the butt. Once we get there, we're going to go overhead with the dowel. When we go overhead on the dowel, I want outward tension. Okay, outward tension. When you drive outward, you're going to pretend that you're pulling the PVC apart. That's going to drive your scapula together and really heat up your upper back. Now, In this video, my left foot is forward. I'm going to be rotating over my left foot. So I'm here, there's outward tension. Okay, I'm going to squeeze my glute, get that nice posterior tilt, and then I'm just going to rotate to the side and get a little bit of thoracic rotation, okay? We want this knee to stay as quiet as possible. It may come out a little bit, don't worry about it. But again, we want to make sure that we're moving from the right positioning. I'm going to do this from the front. So we're here, we're in that position. As you can see, I'm not way up here. I'm nice and stacked. Set up overhead, outward tension on the PVC, posterior pelvic tilt, tight, tight, tight. You're gonna lean into it slightly, and we're gonna rotate over, okay? You're gonna feel a big stretch, your hip flexor, maybe a little bit in the TFL and your rec fem. The way I like to do this is get into the position, lock everything down, do a nice rotation that maybe takes 2 to 3 seconds outward, and then come back, and maybe 7 to 10 of those, and then work the other side. And then guys, once you do just these 3, you're gonna get a ton of mobility out of. And then honestly, go do something and see how you feel. Like, say if you're a jiu-jitsu guy, this little prep is gonna be fantastic for opening up your hips before you roll. You're squatting. Again, this is fantastic for squat day. You're gonna go into running mechanics, doing some sprinting. These are some great drills to open up the hips, then get into some A skips, B skips, etc. So there's a couple different ways you can use it. So give these drills a try. If you have any questions, message me, and we can go from there. And as always, if you're trying to target your mobility and you need to see those problem areas, recommend finding someone that's certified in the FMS. They can really pick you apart and give you the appropriate drills for you at that given time. Guys, have a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you later.